you somehow, they said, okay, you know what, collateral damage, we're going to take Sarraille and we're going to move him into task unit Bruiser. That's what they did. And I was stoked because I wanted more people always, you know, because you get another 50 cal gunner, you get another officer, you get another shooter, it's another person. It's awesome. And I was stoked to have you coming on board. And there was like a little bit of, there was drama because, you know, inside Bruiser it was like no drama. Like we don't play drama. Like we solve problems, we keep our mouths shut, we do what we're supposed to do. If we got problems, we figure them out, we straighten them out, and we move on. And we could see all this drama unfolding in that other task unit, which is not cool. I mean, you don't like seeing that at a SEAL team. You want the whole SEAL team to be kick-ass. And so you see a task unit that's in turmoil. It's like not fun to watch, especially because I basically knew every player in there. I knew every one of those guys. And you watch them just falling apart and egos are flaring up, and it's just a nightmare, man. It was a nightmare. And anyways, you get basically out of that whole catastrophe, out comes Mike Sarraille into task unit Bruiser. And
the best worst deal I've ever been dealt. Best worst deal I've ever been dealt.
So you check in, and I remember I was thinking to myself, okay, I didn't know you. I've looked at your record. I knew you were in the Marine Corps. I knew that you were going to be squared away. That was my as much as you can predict. You know, I was thinking, okay, this guy was in the Marine Corps. This guy's going to be awesome. You seemed like you were serious and you wanted to do a good job, and so my assumption was you're going to kick ass. However, I had to be a little bit, you know, I had to do a little precautionary, take some precautionary measures to make sure that you understood where I was coming from. You know, I wanted to make sure you knew where I was coming from.
While having a little fun with me. Just a little, just a smidge.
Yeah. So that's why, so introducing you into the task, bringing you in, I wanted to let you know, like, hey, this is where I'm at. You know, we don't have any drama here. That's why we did the whole briefing. So in the mechanical room, so at SEAL Team 3 at the time, there was no ceilings in any, they were doing this big remodel and there was no ceilings in any of the platoon spaces or task unit spaces. There was a wall with no ceiling, so you could hear everything that was being said. And so whenever I had something legitimate, like an issue to bring up with someone, and in fact, it wasn't even almost always, it was always my JOs. It was either Leif or Seth or one of the other JOs, and I'd bring them in there and I'd be like, hey, here's what's going on. Because in the mechanical room, there's like a loud noise and no one can hear you, and that's the only room that still had a ceiling.
For privacy.
It was like the cone of silence. It was the cone of silence. So whenever someone was doing something that I really needed to tighten up, someone was getting out of line and I really needed to talk to them on the secret level. And by secret, I mean I didn't want anyone gossiping about what I was about to say. So I'd bring him in the mechanical room and tell him what was up. And so that's how I welcomed Mike into the task unit. Go ahead. Now you can give your perspective.
What happened?
So having come out of an incident where I was wrapped up in a little bit of drama and being shifted.
Well, that incident though, you were just sort of like in that group, or were you, you know?
So since I was close, the operations officer, which is basically the guy that handles the day-to-day affairs for the troop commander, I was naturally close to him. And if you want to step back to that task unit, because it was one of the, again, many great leadership lessons across the course of my career, for a new guy watching that in the SEAL teams, it was, you know, I was questioning, maybe this community is not for me.
Yeah.
If this is the norm, because this is my first experience, so this means this is normal to me. It just seemed like backstabbing and egos. One of the platoons, they performed, and they stayed out of the drama for the most part. But between this platoon commander and the task unit commander, it was from day one. It was just like watching a train derail. You just saw it coming. And the fact that the boss laid down the rule and they come back on Monday morning and paint him into a corner, I don't know what they expected.
Yeah.
And they both got fired, and it both affected their career. But it was you know, I can say as a new guy, it was a great thing to see in retrospect, because you learn what not to do.
Yeah.
But when I was told to report into Jocko, you know, I'm not in the best of spirits.
Sure.
And knock on the door to task unit Bruiser and say, hey, Mike Sarraille, Jocko, I'm here to report in. And he said, Roger, come with me. And he had a sheet of paper in his hand.
Principal's office.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on here? And so I follow him into, everyone knows what the mechanical room is, but nobody goes in. And I mean, you just want to picture like cogs turning. And, just
like
it's loud. There's steam coming out. And,
Nightmare on Elm Street. That's where Freddy Krueger did most of his work.
You actually told me to pop too. And so I popped too, and you basically laid down the law of, hey, I heard what happens. You have a clean slate here, but do not bring drama into my task unit. Here's your counseling sheet. You've been formally counseled, and pretty much left the room. And I think I sat in the room for maybe like 30 seconds to a minute.
But by yourself.
And I'm just staring at the wall like, what the? Like my career in the SEAL teams is going to be extremely short. I'm getting it from all directions. And what he did was you lay down the law. Yeah. And I understood there was just one thing to do at that point. And that was just perform. Yeah. It was perform.
Yeah, the other backstory here is that the platoon that you're talking about that performed well inside that task unit, the platoon chief in that, because he was one of my good friends from way back, and because there's all this stray voltage going around about whose fault this was, and he came up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're getting Sarraille?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "He's fucking good to go." And I was like, "Check." And that's like literally all I needed to hear, because when he told me that, I knew like he's like, I respect his opinion, and so I actually knew you were going to be good to go a little bit stronger than I gave note to.
No, he was in terms of first people you meet in the SEAL teams, was absolutely welcoming to every new guy. Mm-hmm. No hazing whatsoever. You can perform as a new guy. You're a part of this platoon. You have a voice. And once he found out, because he's a sniper, found out I was a sniper in the Marine Corps, he's like, "Go, hey, I'm making a call to the Army right now. Go check out a suite of guns." And I was shocked. Mm. And, I trained up as a sniper, as an officer for the entire workup. And it was because of that one guy who welcomed me with open arms. And despite his long history in the teams, I mean, no ego whatsoever.
He's humble, awesome guy.